Hey, welcome to Nightmares and Scares. I am Matt, and with me is a name change. Who do I have with me?
Today we are Dan, the Horror Man.
Dan the
Whoa.
Horror Man. I never know what your name's going to be each and
Hey,
every
man.
episode when we get on here.
Today,
Um,
spoilers, we're talking about vampires, so gotta go all out. That's my bag, homie.
Yeah, so welcome to Nightmares and Scares. If this is your first time joining us, thank you so much for being here. We hope you enjoy. If you're a returning customer, thank you so much. We love you. But welcome to Nightmares and Scares, the show that invites you to grab your popcorn and your PJs and go to a place where every day is Halloween. A boy's best friend is always his mother, and the monster under your bed is absolutely real. Um, Dan, we're here to talk about a brand new movie. This is our first episode on a new film that's currently in theaters. What are we talking about?
Matt, I think you might be alluding to the first film that we've gone to together to review for this series, and that would be Abigail. Woo!
Abigail, the brand new vampire movie by Radio Silence.
That's such a
Um,
good shot.
it is. It's almost beautiful in a weird way. I don't want to say that about a little girl, but I mean, let's throw it back up there.
Contrast with the black background, the white dress, and it's like a blackish, reddish, like dried blood. I mean, I'm sorry, I wanted to say it, it just stands out.
Yeah, for sure. It's good. It's a good image. Um, Before we get into the synopsis and all that stuff, just initial thought, like initial reaction. What was? I mean, as you mentioned, we went to see this together, um, which happens every so once in a while, a couple times a
Look at
year.
those
You and I get
goofballs.
together. Say it again.
I said, look at those goofballs.
Yes, I'm so much of a goofball. I had to put the same shirt back on just to record this episode. So,
I did not do
um,
that.
but yeah, initial reactions. What'd you think, Dan?
Well, look, we have the same directors on this as we have on a film we reviewed last week, and that would be Ready or Not, the same creative duo who was also involved in the last two Scream movies. Really expected great things from this. Honestly, I was a huge fan of Ready or Not. Slightly over Matt's review. Just flash back to that episode. If you haven't watched it, go watch it because definitely going to be mentioning that a couple times probably in the course of the reviews here. So, I was hyped. I love vampire movies, as previously stated. And just the fact of, like, I think in all the previews, you just expected the little girl to be just completely owning these adults in this situation. Wasn't sure of how it was going to set it up, but definitely had a great setup to me anyway, based on the preview. So I guess that would be the best question, Matt. Based on the previews alone, how did you feel that this movie was going to play out, and did you think it would be a fun watch?
So the trailer, the previews had me kind of going, okay, yeah, no, this is gonna be good. And I went into it pretty hyped. Like I'm like, okay, like that I know what to expect from these guys. Because they did, like you just mentioned, the newer Scream movies, and they gave us Ready or Not, which I was a fan of, even though Dan likes it more. Um, I had high expectations for this, and it did not disappoint. This was a blast. I had a blast. It was super fun, and we're gonna get into all of that. But first, we're going to uh, tell you a little bit about what it's about. I'm gonna give you the synopsis and a couple cast members. Um, Children can be such monsters. That's the tagline here. After a group.
Anytime, and not to interrupt you, but anytime we have a child enter into a horror movie as like a horror character, like it's going to be unsettling to some degree, and I think that like adds to it a little bit. Like you just expect it to be out of the box.
Real time talk right now between you and I. We should do an episode top five horror movie children.
Okay, I mean,
I mean,
I'm
think of
down
the
for that.
possibilities. Think of the
So
possibilities.
So here's the thing, guys. On the last couple episodes, we've definitely been having a little bit more comments. We've been gaining some new subscribers. So again, as Matt said on the top of the episode, thank you. If you would like to see that episode, comment down below. And please, if this is again, as Matt stated, your first time on the channel and you'd like to hear more from us, please subscribe so that you can catch that channel or that video at a later date.
For sure, for sure. So yeah, let us know if you want to see that. Maybe we'll do a top 5 like scary children, because I mean, there's so many. There's so many. And
Can
we,
I throw
we're
my
only
kids
at
in there too?
maybe, maybe. I actually turned to you at one point, and during a trailer, during the opening of this movie, was we were watching this, and I said I should make a movie and and put your kid in it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my
Um,
son definitely would jump at that chance. He's a huge fan of this series, actually, and pretty much all things Matt related, film related. So he would love to do that.
he is my number one fan, and I appreciate him for that. So never say never, young man. Um, Anyway, so Abigail, directed by Radio Silence, who we all know and love, after a group of would-be criminals kidnap Dan, the 12-year-old ballerina daughter of a powerful underworld figure, all they have to do to collect a $50 million ransom is watch the girl overnight. Seems simple enough. In addition, sorry, in an isolated mansion, the captors start to dwindle one by one, and they discover to their mounting horror that they're locked inside with no ordinary little girl. Ooh. This film stars Alicia Ware as Abigail, and let me tell you, she is phenomenal.
My
She
gosh, she
borderline
deserves.
steals the whole movie.
Yeah, she deserves a ton of credit. And honestly, I'm not going to say she carried the movie because I think these other actors that were involved in this were awesome, but she really was a driver and main focal point in this. So awesome job. Awesome.
For for sure. We also got Melissa Barrera, who, if you don't know, she is known for the newer Scream movies with Radio Silence, Scream 5 and Scream 6. Then we've got Dan Stevens, who appeared most recently in Godzilla and V Kong, or Godzilla X Kong, I guess it was. Also did movies Night at the Museum, Secret of the Tomb, Beauty and the Beast, things like that. We got Catherine Newton in this. She's known for Cobra Kai, Ladybird, and most recently Lisa Frankenstein. And we got Angus Cloud, who's obviously most known for Euphoria. Um, Dan, we don't have any stats on this. This is our first like brand new movie, but we are going to, before we jump into the reviews, I don't know what we're gonna say. We didn't rehearse this, so I'm just gonna throw it out there. Spoilers, spoilers, spoilers. Um, in fact, for all episodes, unless we put up a warning or in the title, spoiler free, just expect that we're going to spoil every movie that we talk about. So we're gonna we're gonna go deep dive. Dan, do you want to go first? Tell us what you thought in depth about Abigail.
Okay, so guys, whoever just skipped the first 8 minutes of this episode to get to this point, I'm trying not to disappoint you. Right off the top, one of the things I really loved about this movie is just the total vibe. That being stated, like it definitely did feel like it was related spiritually to the Ready or Not that we've seen, and also in some ways to the Scream movies that were also put out by Radio Silence. Again, as stated up at the top, the acting was superb. I wasn't really sure what we are going to get with the cast and characters that we were given, and they pretty much gave a backstory in the beginning in the form of a game to every single character that was related in this. We had detectives that were once on the take and ended up, getting kicked off. We've had the muscle in the background. We've got ex-army medics. We've got ex-Semper Fi Marines on there, and they bring these professionals in from all these different backgrounds. And again, like Matt said, to do one thing: kidnap a little girl and then take her hostage, hold her for a ransom, get the money, and then split. But as you guys already know, that wasn't the case because it wasn't just any little girl. It was a freaking vampire. And guess what? Vampires, it looks like a little girl. It's not. She's like, I think it was like 200, 300 years old at this point. She makes a reference later in the film that you can do the really cool stuff when you get older, and I really liked it. It did a couple different things. It took some old vampire lore, and it's kind of like what we would do in that kind of situation when we're locked in a room or a building with a vampire. Let's figure out how the heck we can kill this thing and stay alive. And yep, just like here, they've tried to find the garlic. They sharpened some stakes. They used crosses. If they had holy water and stuff to their disposal as well, I feel like they'd be using that. And they did everything they could to save themselves. But right off the top, man, the energy that you get from this little girl, the lead actor in this, as she torments and terrorizes these folks, it was just phenomenal. It was fun the entire way. I think that they put the right amount of comedy in this without making it too, tongue in cheek or over the top. And then we did see Angus Cloud, which again, rest in peace to him. I thought that his role was actually really phenomenal in this. Wasn't sure how he would be, but he was perfect. All the casting was perfect. And even the lead hero, that's what I'm going to say is going to be the weakest point. So we know her by the name of Joey in the beginning. We find out her name later on. But as far as her backstory, she, became addicted to drugs. She ended up leaving her son. And in the end, she kind of has like a wanting to back that up and be more involved in her son's life. And it feels like it took it to this moment to really understand, like, hey, I want to go back. And she bonds over that with Abigail toward the end to kind of turn the tables and save Abigail, which I'm sure Matt will get into with his review. If not, we'll go back and forth on that. But just general thoughts. So that was probably the weakest part of the film for me. But again, a lot of gore, a lot of blood, a lot of bodies. Going into this thing was super entertaining. There wasn't a lot of time in between that made you like, yeah, I wonder what's going to happen. They were right in the action, just kept coming up to the very end, roll credits. And I think the ending was done well and potentially left rooms for a sequel if they ever wanted to come back to it. But I don't know. Matt, how about you? What do you think?
No, solid take, solid review. Like I said, I had a blast with this. And I'm just gonna go out on the limb and say it. I think I'm a fan of radio silence movies. You know, I mean, Scream 6, I wasn't as huge of a fan of as but it was still good. And Ready or Not was fantastic, and this is just up there. Like everything they put out has been great. They knew what they wanted to do with this, and they executed it well. Um, as mentioned, Alicia Wire, who was Abigail, was great. She was scary. She was terrifying in some moments. Um, you know, Melissa Barrera, she was definitely good. I mean, I know you said her plot was kind of the weaker point. I dug it. I was with it. The whole connecting she left her son and was trying to kind of get that relationship back. We find out throughout the film, but she's kind of scared because she's sober now, she's clean, but she hasn't made that leap to reach back out to him. And at first I wasn't sure if that was a choice by like the courts because she was you know a terrible mother, or if it was because her own, but it's kind of made out to make us believe that it's her own doing. She just hasn't reached out. Um, Catherine Newton, that girl's a star. I every time I see her in something, whether it was Cobra Kai or Lisa Frankenstein, I'm just wowed by what she can do. In this, she kind of plays the ditzy, I don't want to say dumb blonde, but that's kind of what they had her doing. But it works, and she did it so well. Did you
I
want to
mean,
say
she's
something?
definitely becoming a rising star in these like fringe, like on the end horror movie type. And I hope we see more of her as we go further down this line in this web series as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, absolutely. Giancarlo Esposito, one name we didn't mention. He's great. He does what he does.
Man,
Breaking
he's solidified as like the villain. Like if you see him, he's in every universe now, movie universe. I didn't really. I guess we should have expected that when we saw him
Yeah.
introduced that something was going to happen, and I think he digs that. But yeah, he's perfect in everything he's in as well.
Yeah, no, he's always gonna be Breaking Bad to me, but no, he's just he does, and he's the same character in every movie, but you know what? I don't care because that character works for me. Um, and then I'm so glad you mentioned Angus Cloud because I was going to say, can we talk about Angus Cloud from it? Because I had seen Euphoria, obviously, and he wasn't even like one of my favorite characters in that show. But then obviously, we lost him a year or so ago, 2 years ago. And so when I saw him in this trailer, I was surprised. I was like, oh wow, look who that is. This must have been shot a while ago, for him to be in this. And I wasn't expecting the emotional punch that I got when I saw him on screen. I guess because it's really the first time I've seen him in anything since he died, and just watching him on screen, like, I'm talking like the first few moments, like the first couple minutes that he's on screen, it kinda made me sad. Like, I didn't tear up, but I felt like I almost could. I was like, "Oh, like, I kinda miss him," and I didn't realize how much I missed him.
He's like one of a kind type of actor that you can't really put into a box. And honestly, he's like just I think more so like the realism from him more than anything else, because his characters match his personalities, and like you were talking about before, like they play the same person, everything. Like they
Right.
match their character to who they actually are, and he definitely was that here, and it fit
No.
really well.
Yeah, he was truly a star in the making and is gone way too soon, I'm sad that we don't get more of him in this world. Um, but, as far as the movie, I think the horror elements are great. It starts off kinda slow, but then when it takes off, man, it really takes off. I would recommend this to anyone, especially fans of the newer Scream movies and the Ready or Not movie. This was just a lot of fun. I keep saying the word fun, but that's what it does. Like it's a you grab your popcorn, you sit down, and you just enjoy the ride because it is a ride it takes you on, and it's a ballerina vampire. I mean, it sounds ridiculous. Remember how Ready or Not? I was like, I don't know that I've ever seen a movie as ridiculous as this, but it was great. That's kinda what this is. It's ridiculous in theory, but it's great. And for some reason, one other thing I wanted to throw out there, I guess I knew that because I didn't know, I was surprised that they were kidnappers. Like, I don't know because it was in the trailer. Like, I knew they ended up with the little girl in the house, but I didn't, I guess, put 2 and 2 together to figure out how they would have ended up there. I guess I just wasn't prepared for them to be, like, kidnappers. I was like, "Oh," so, like, because I was thinking, "Oh, these are gonna be the people that we should be cheering for and
I
hoping they
think it's
survive."
It is funny because I feel like it's kind of a moral thing that it puts you in. It's like, well, if they do die, they did try to kidnap, a little
Right.
girl. So it's like that. It's not really gray area. That's like really in the bad. So
And that's what made me so, like, confused at first. I was like, "Oh, I thought I was supposed to be liking these characters and no, like, they're kidnapping this little girl?" Like, obviously, I know what's gonna happen to them because of what the movie is, but, like, these characters, like, I don't aside from, well, I was gonna say aside from Lissa Barrera, but no, we got Angus Cloud and really all of them, except for, Dan Stevens. He was kinda like the shady character, the cop character, the one that you just kinda was waiting for him to go bad. Like, you kinda knew all along that it was coming. But everyone else was kinda likable aside from the fact that they just kidnapped a 12-year-old girl. They kind of, you were still rooting for them to kinda find a way out. But you
like,
knew.
yeah, even though they were making bad decisions, like it seemed like at the core of it, they tried to still build them as like good people, and
Yeah.
like the rest of us
And
are.
they had then they all had their reasonings for, and I'm not saying, "Hey, you got reason, so go kidnap a 12-year-old girl. Please, by all means, don't do that. But they all had their reasonings for needing this money and participating in this kidnapping. So that's kind of where I'm at with it.
I just want to kick one more thing back to you on this. I thought that the parts where you see her like physically dancing, like in the ballerina outfit, were
Hmm.
probably the most surreal. Like when she has the corpse, like Angus Cloud's character's corpse, and she's like spinning it around, like the blood's pouring
Yes.
out. And then even like later when she's doing like the dance routines, when she's jumping down the hallway, it is so light and funny and balances like the horror that's in it. It's
I was gonna say,
really,
but dark and twisted at the same time.
and kudos to the makeup department, how they made her look. And like you said, like she's a little girl, but they made her look, like you had said, terrifying. And the teeth that they
Yeah.
picked, I think were perfect because they didn't
Yeah.
just go with the regular incisors of a vampire. They went like full on like
Yeah.
monster mashers. Um, but no, very well done. And the music, I think when the music was played in, it was kind of like Ready or Not 2. It was like more of like an older some moment style, just to give it
Hmm.
that more immersive experience, I think. But another cast of directors and film crew that's able to use that in an effective manner. So kudos to them as well.
Yeah. So that's Abigail. Any final? You kind of just said, but any kind of final thoughts there before we give a rating?
This, I don't know when this video is going to come out. See this movie. I really enjoyed it in theaters. I think it could still be good in a home setting, and I think yes, this is something that I would sit down and watch again. Because again, I like to go on little horror binges. Ready or Not, I'll probably pull out, dust off like once a year just
This would
because
be a
I enjoy
good. It
it.
would be a good double feature. Like you could watch Ready or Not and Abigail back to back. Like it would be a good little double feature. Yeah, no, this is definitely one you could watch at home, but I highly suggest watching it in the theater. It gives it a better experience. Um, so with that said, how do we want to rate this, Dan, this week? 1 out of 10, what? Do we want to do 1 out of 10 ballet vampires or 1 out of 10 candy? I'm trying to think of something movie related with the girl with the candy
Like
lollipops.
the lollipops.
Yeah.
I think we do it with like bloody tutus. Let's do bloody tutus this week.
Bloody tutus. I like it. 1 out of 10 bloody tutus. Dan, where are you with Abigail?
Guys, believe it or not, I think that this is going to tie my rating on the Ready or Not. I'm putting this all the way up the scale to a 9. I really thoroughly enjoyed this. I would watch it again, like I told you guys already. I mean, give me some more of that killer ballerina. And if you do have a sequel eventually, yeah, I might be a little hesitant on it, but I think I probably enjoy that too. Give me all the little murderous ballerinas out there. Let's do it.
No, you were at were you at a 9 with Ready or Not? I thought you were at a 10 with Ready or Not.
I don't know if I went up that high or not. If I
I
did,
think
then
you
I
I think you
apologize.
did. I think you did.
Oh my gosh,
Um
you guys are paying more attention to me than I am.
yeah,
I
no,
would
because
still
I
put this
remember
at a
saying
9
that
regardless.
I remember saying that I wasn't going to go that high and you did.
Got you. Well, at
So
9 regardless. I enjoy it. I enjoy it.
so in the same way that you were at 10 with Ready or Not and a 9 with Abigail, I was at a 9 with Ready or Not. I'm going to give Abigail an 8. I fully loved it. I would definitely watch it again. I plan to watch it again. Excuse me. And just because my rating isn't as high as Dan's, it's still an 8 out of 10. It's a very good rating. It's a very good film.
It's like,
Highly
guys, you gotta
recommend it.
realize when Matt reviews films, it's just always with the classics in the back of his head. I'm a free spirit, man. I'm here to give all the bloody tutus to all
We're
the
gonna
the
get
world.
to Matt's tens. We're eventually gonna get there. There's certain movies that are tens for Matt. No, hint, hint, wink, wink. But I look forward to a 10. Like I look for like I want nothing more than to give something a 10, but it takes a lot for me to get that. And sure, nostalgia plays a part of it. So it's something that I grew up with. It's more likely to get a 10. But give me something. Abigail could have been it. And there's really nothing taking away from it. like if why isn't it a 10? What would you change? I don't know that I'd really change anything. It just it's a ballerina vampire. So it's I mean that
I feel like you're just pigeonholing this, Matt, and I hope our
yeah.
viewers will agree with me. Please tell Matt he needs to step out of his little box, little cuckoo box that he's in.
Anyway, so there you go, have it. Dan's at a 9, I'm at an 8, and that's bloody tutus that we've rated this. Um, Dan, do you want to get into some real reviews?
Okay, guys. So, as you all know, lately on this part of the show, what we like to do, not only just incorporate our reviews into this, but we like to add some others from either our viewer base or wherever Matt pulls them from the interwebs, just to see how other real people feel. Sometimes, it's always good to get that extra comment back and forth added. So, all right, Mr. Matt, since you were on the low end again this week for the rating, are you taking the low? I'm taking the high. Or are we flipping this because I need you to step
Let's
out of
keep
your
flip
little
let
little
let's
box?
let's keep flip-flopping. I'll
Let's
do
flip
the
flop.
5-star.
Okay. No,
So
no,
so
flip
yeah.
flop. Let's
So
flip
we do
flop
the
Abigail.
5-star, we do the 5-star and the 1-star. Let me tell you, it was very hard, mostly because it's such a new movie, but it was very hard to find a 1-star review for this movie. I had to search high and low. I ultimately ended up getting the 1-star review off of Letterboxd, the app. Um, but the 5-star comes from
I was just waiting to say it. Did you have to get this from like somebody that we used to have as a co-host on one of our?
no, no, that person actually quite enjoyed this
Oh,
as or no,
sweet.
no, sorry, I take it back. That person hasn't even seen it. I don't know what I'm
Oh,
saying. I was thinking of the next movie that we're going to talk about, which we're going to mention here again in a minute. But that our next episode, that person really liked that. Um, no, but so the 1-star review, we'll get, I think that's how we typically do it. We do the 1-star, then the 5-star. So Dan, here is your 1-star review. It is a lot.
oh boy. All right, Stuart Barr. Horror movie fans, you can skip Abigail, especially if you haven't seen The First Omen or Immaculate, both of which are still playing. Abigail completely squanders any interesting ideas it has, basically ballet vampire, and is otherwise just a grab bag of things from better films. The bad guys versus vampire thing is done way better from dusk till dawn. The creepy potential of vampire children is fully covered by the Let the Right One In and Interview with the Vampire, especially the recent TV version. Abigail does nothing interesting with any of this and tries to play its goofy premise straight, meaning neither the film nor the audience, well, at least me, was having any fun at all. It's devoid of wit, isn't scary, has no directorial flair, and is shot using a really ugly color palette. Wait for streaming. So I want to take a shot at this, and I'm probably going to get a lot of flack. So we're talking about the younger character in Interview with the Vampire, which we're drawing like a comparison to here. I think
Mhm.
Abigail's actually, I think she was a better character. I liked her more.
I would agree, but I would agree with that. But also, I'm going to cut you off just for a second. While I disagree mostly with his review, I will say while we were watching this in the theater, I got heavy From Dusk Till Dawn vibes. And I will say, I think as a movie, I'm more likely to go back to From Dusk Till Dawn before I go back to Abigail. But
Well,
that's again, that's not
yeah,
taking away from
surprise,
Abigail.
surprise. Matt would go back to Dusk Till Dawn over Abigail. I'm sorry, man, but
It's
yeah, I mean, yeah,
Tarantino.
they have
It's Quentin
vampires.
Tarantino.
Yeah, they have gore, but they're not the same film. And I'm sorry, they're not like tired, repetitive things. Like you have definitely a lot more different kind of
And let the
content.
right one in. Have you seen Let the Right One In?
It's a very good movie. I like that movie. Very well
Okay.
done again. And I'm not saying they're bad movies. I'm just saying that this is definitely different and I think still enjoyable. And maybe those are what we can do like a little boxing thing based off of this comment. Like we finally watch all those movies, we'll do individual reviews and then we'll rank where we like to see our little vampire peoples. Maybe that's another idea. If you guys want to see that, put in a comment. Let us know. I love vampire movies, dude. So let's get into it.
Dan's had some like vampire blood or something before this episode. He's on
But
fire. All right, let's get to that 5-star review. We've got Jonas Wren with the 5-star from 6 hours ago. I'm not big into vampires, but these directors just don't miss. I will say it is very similar to Ready or Not, whereas the whole movie takes place in a big house being hunted, etc. But whatever. Melissa Barrera eats, capital eats, and Alicia Wire, actress for Abigail, alone is worth your butt in the theater. An extremely complex, dynamic, layered performance, not your typical black and white villain. I think it's more comedy than horror, but that is these directors' style. Soundtrack is pounding and atmospheric. You won't regret. You're in good hands.
And guys, I promise I don't go online and post under Jonas Wren. Like, I feel we're pretty much on the same page, though.
No, I
So,
agree with Jonas Wren. Again, loved this movie. Recommend this movie. If you get the chance, go see this movie in the theater while it's still playing.
and credit
Uh,
to both of those guys for their reviews. It's
yes.
awesome that you share that, and whether you know it or not, like, thank you for posting.
So that wraps up Abigail. Dan, we've already kind of talked about what we're going to be talking about next later this week, but in case those of you missed it or are just joining us for the very first time, the next film that we will be reviewing on the show is another brand new film that was in the theaters just a little bit ago, but is now on streaming as we speak. It is Late Night with the Devil. Ooh. It is a brand new demonic possession type film starring Dave Dastmalchian, who, if you know who that is, you already know what you're in for. It's a fun ride. And it is streaming currently on Shudder or available for purchase on Amazon Prime, Vudu Fandango, etc., etc. Any final words before we sign out?
Sure. Of course I've got words. I'm full of words. That's what we do here on this channel. Honestly, guys, thank you for joining us for another exciting episode of Nightmares and Scares. We wouldn't be doing this without you guys tuning in and wanting to watch us. So thank you. Again, remember, comment. Let us know your thoughts on these movies. We absolutely adore hearing from you guys. Maybe we can start doing some shout outs in our videos from last videos on some of the notes people put in, because we're just starting to get a couple of notes from folks. So super excited about that. But again, please subscribe to us. Help us. Our next mark, we want to hit 1,000. We're 130 some away. Please just help us reach that goal. We want to talk to more people about movies. But outside of that, again, thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoy horror movies as much as we do, and that you can support them in the theater like we did as well. If not, that's okay. When you get a chance to watch this movie, definitely take the opportunity. Matt, kicking back to
For
you to wrap us up.
For sure. Everybody have a great couple of days. We'll see you with Late Night with the Devil. And until then, we'll see you in your nightmares. Ooh.